Abuse in anime is a topic that has been talked about extensively at this point, but in recent times, I haven't seen it done in any anime like Takopi's Original Sin. Takopi's Original Sin is an anime made in 20. We are introduced to Marina as the main antagonist, the main villain who constantly beats Shizuka, our protagonist, and doesn't miss a chance to abuse her for seemingly no reason. Like, okay, she's poor, I don't know how that's Marina's business. She keeps to herself, which maybe Marina is jealous of, but not really, because Marina considers her beneath her. And okay, her mom's an escort. Wait, how does Marina know that? But why is Marina so quote-unquote evil? Why is she doing the things she does? What's her problem? And these are questions I had while watching the show until... Oftentimes, abusive children are a result of abusive parents, and unfortunately, this is one of such cases. We then move on to episode 2. Marina is dead. I'll leave the explanation for that for another part of the video. But we fast forward to a timeline that doesn't exist anymore because of Takopi. The year is 2022 and a virus is keeping most things on lockdown. I'm sure we all know what this is meant to reference. Marina's father has left the family and is asking Marina to please tell her mom to let the marriage go. We see Marina's mother, drunk, laying on the table and requesting for more liquor. When Marina points out there is no more liquor, she is pointed at with a broken bottle by her mother, who then rains down insults on her. And she is scared, terrified even. I don't blame her, especially because the scar on her face was caused by broken glass, because of her mother's abuse. Next day, she talks about how if she had a kid, she'd treat them well, and maybe then her mother would love her. Takopi helps her with this by finding her a quote-unquote papa, even though they're like 16. And surprisingly, this works. She ends up dating Naoki, a classmate of hers, and is actually really happy with him. She even told her mom, and her mom was excited for her. She even invited Naoki for dinner and was just ecstatic that someone loved her daughter. Everything seemed to be going well until Shizuka comes back to town. You see, in this timeline, she tried to kill herself, but the rope gave out and she eventually left town. But now that she's back, Marina's boyfriend, who had a childhood crush on her, starts developing feelings again and breaks up the relationship. They break up and Marina has to relay this horrible news to her mother, who was expecting Naoki for dinner that day. And what proceeds is one of the hardest scenes I had to watch in this show, probably in any fictional show. Her mother proceeds to beat her over and over and over again, raining insults down on her, saying things like, "Is it my fault you are damaged goods? Am I a bad mother?" And just overall, it was a terrible scene to watch. Takopi tries to get Naoki because he thinks bringing him over will fix things, but the girl he's with apparently had scary eyes. Eyes we have seen before. And Shizuka in this scene also says she's always watching Azuma, which leads me to believe she intentionally did this. She had this planned. Takopi comes back to meet a very depressing scene. Marina had killed her mother in self-defense. She regretted not killing Shizuka in 4th grade. She is the cause of all this. And now she had killed the only person she had in her life. Takopi makes a plan to go back in time and save her. To go back to the 4th grade. Marina is pleased by this gesture, but ultimately, she ends her life. Marina's story is really depressing because she was stuck as the child of a loveless marriage. Most of the time left with a mother that constantly abused and manipulated her into hating the man who took her father away, and the daughter who shed her blood. She was extremely lonely and had nobody except that abusive mother, and the one time she found love, she lost it not long after, before being labeled damaged goods by her own mother that she still loved, and then having to kill that very woman not long after. In every timeline we have watched, Marina has died. That's sad. Shizuka Kuze is a 4th grader living with her mom, who is an escort that's never around. And just to clarify, her mother's neglect has nothing to do with her job. Throughout the story, we only actually see this woman twice. Once being her sleeping in one shot when Shizuka leaves town, and the second when she is called to pick up her daughter when something bad happened. And even from their interactions, we can tell she doesn't care for Shizuka, because she doesn't as much as try to comfort her daughter despite her looking like this. And worse, she doesn't even take her home. She straight up leaves her daughter there to go home and make food for herself in the middle of the night. Essentially, Shizuka lives like an orphan with nobody to care for her at home. And the case remains the same in school. She's shunned at school, she has no friends, and is constantly bullied by Marina. The only reason she chooses to stay, to continue to keep going on, is because of her dog, Chappie. Shizuka dies, killed herself with one of Takopi's happy gadgets, but Takopi goes back in time to save her. When I first saw this scene, I assumed the show would be like Erased, where someone travels back in time to save a child from dying as well. But no matter what Takopi does in this show to help, and how many times he goes back in time, he couldn't stop one thing: the dog being taken. Shizuka's dog is taken when he bites Marina, because the dog was taken by animal control because they bit Marina. The whole thing being orchestrated by Marina to get the dog taken away because she knows how much Shizuka relies on it. But anyways, my point here is, Shizuka's mom tells her the dog was sent to live with her father because it bit a child and it can't be allowed to stay. And this is the point things get bad. She stops talking, loses all visible emotion, and basically operates like a robot till Marina says she wanted to talk about Chappie and lures Shizuka into the woods. She tells Shizuka the dog is dead because it bit a child, but Shizuka disagrees. He's in Tokyo with her dad, and at this, Marina begins to beat on Shizuka. And in a moment of desperation, Takopi jumps to help but accidentally kills Marina. I mean, this must be traumatizing for Shizuka. She just watched someone she knew killed right in front of her. Huh? She was really happy to see Marina die, and basically starts leaving the woods with Takopi. A classmate finds them on their way out of the forest and sees the body. He is shaking and tells Shizuka she could get in trouble for this. She asks him for advice on what she should do, and they eventually conclude on burying the body and covering up the crime. And then Takopi should pose as Marina, because he can do that. And that's what happens. They all begin hanging out and brainstorming how they'll get to Tokyo during summer break to see Chappie. The body is obviously found eventually because 9-year-old kids aren't the best at hiding corpses. But as the investigation goes on and they start to believe it was Shizuka's doing, and say she had to come to the police station during summer break, the time that they planned to go see Chappie, she resorts to manipulating that very classmate she asked for help into taking the fall for her, so she could freely go and see her dog. Takopi and Shizuka leave their small town and venture into Tokyo, where her dad lived, to find the dog. They eventually make it to his apartment and knock on it, and for the first time in the story, we see Shizuka's father. He's holding a child and is surprised to see her. Shizuka asks about Chappie, but he just seemed confused. Another child runs up to him and barking is heard from the background. Shizuka assumes it's Chappie until this thing comes out. Chappie wasn't there. He had never been there, and to add insult to injury, the kid asks her dad why Shizuka was calling him dad. But he says he doesn't know either. So her dog was dead, and her dad had denied her. She's sent spiraling and believes they may have eaten Chappie and wanted to open their stomachs to check. When Takopi says he can't help her with that, she attacks him. This causes Takopi to regain his memories of Marina and the other timeline and his original objective of coming here: to kill Shizuka Kuze. He flies back to where it all happens and waits. Coincidentally, around the same time, 2 kids are kidnapped and found unharmed later. Takopi finally confronts her and she breaks down. She complains about how her mom never cared for her and how her dad denied her. Shizuka's story breaks my heart because her only sin regarding the circumstances of her life was that she was even born. She had nothing, but was still being taken from. She never had a mom to tell her she smelled, never had a dad to teach her wrong from right, never received empathy from anyone, so she never learned to reciprocate it. And the only thing she had to herself was taken and killed. Her father left her under the pouring rain alone, to his knowledge, in Tokyo, and her mother never even bothered to look for her. Shizuka was a victim. This is Naoki Azuma, and keeping with the theme of the show, he is also heavily traumatized. Naoki lives with his older brother Junior and mother, who runs a clinic. Since he was a child, he's always tried to impress his mother, but unfortunately, he wasn't Junior, and that made him extremely jealous. See, Junior is a prodigy. He had friends, he got perfect scores every time despite not even trying to read as much, and most of all, he got to taste their mom's pancakes. But why didn't Naoki get any of these? Well, because he spent all his time studying for a perfect score and never made it even once. And this insecurity manifested itself as a deep fear of being given up on. Because if they gave up on him, then it proved he wasn't worth believing in. He wanted to help people and would do almost anything just so someone he liked didn't give up on him, even if it was covering up a murder. Naoki helps Shizuka cover up the murder of Marina, but unlike Shizuka, he couldn't handle the guilt nor the fear that comes with it, and his grades he'd been trying to get up. Yeah, they took a drastic downturn, and he got the lowest scores he'd ever gotten. His mom doesn't notice something's wrong and assumes he's just acting out, so she gives up on him. She stops caring. Naoki doesn't know what to do. He has no one now, no one who believes in him, except Shizuka. He meets up with Shizuka, and upon realizing the police won't let her go to Tokyo to visit Chappie, she manipulates Naoki into taking the fall for her. And he agrees because she's the last person who still believes in him, who still needs him. So at this point he would do anything just to make her happy, just to keep her from giving up on him. He's about to go and turn himself in with the murder weapon when his brother Junior stops him and asks, "What's wrong?" He finally breaks and vents all of his frustrations to his brother, and this scene was so heartwarming, man. He shows Junior really cares about his kid brother. He reassures Naoki, and he admits he's not perfect either, and tells him his flaws, and hell, he even tells him the pancakes he's been studying so hard for weren't even that good. I mean, Junior's an amazing brother, man. The feeling of not being enough is one I'm sure most of us have felt at one point or another, and it's a very depressing one. Naoki's insecurity was born from a mother who pushed him too hard without any proper care. She was downright neglectful of this boy, and that left him feeling so alone, so vulnerable that he was used as a pawn, despite how smart he actually is. His mind was overridden with emotion, and he almost ruined his life because of that deep insecurity. Naoki is different from Shizuka and Marina because while they both had nobody, Naoki had his brother to support him. In the end, he wasn't alone. We have finally reached the most important character in the show, Takopi. Takopi is an alien, a Happian from the planet Happy, whose sole mission is to bring smiles to the faces of people he meets. But his case is interesting because unlike the other children, he isn't working off some existing trauma, just naivety and assumptions. Throughout the story, he tries to help people and genuinely do good. He showers Shizuka with gifts so she's happy. He gets the answers to their assignments so Shizuka doesn't feel bad and kill herself. He even takes walks with her at night. I think he just genuinely enjoys this one. And most of all, he killed Marina. It's an accident though, and Shizuka seems happy, so even though he had fears, everything turned out alright. And I mean, Marina was evil anyways. And that exact mindset and dismissal is a core part of Takopi's character. He dismisses a lot, either because he's thrilled Shizuka is finally happy, or because he believes in the good in everyone, which is naive, but his kindness was just misguided niceness. Yes, there's a difference. He never tried to understand any of the people he was trying to help, to understand their situation and actually know the appropriate actions to take. He just jumps to conclusions and does things he thinks will make people happy. Like showering Shizuka with gifts when she lost her dog, the closest thing and most important thing in her life, mind you. Or him giving Shizuka the friendship rope to mend her broken friendship with Marina, which eventually led to a successful suicide. Or how him helping Shizuka with her assignments resulted in her getting bullied more. Or it still goes on. Him helping Marina get a boyfriend is what exactly pushed her mother into attempting to kill her. And that's why I love his growth in the series. How he comes to realize that although Marina was abusive, she was a victim too, and had someone that cared for her. It's the first time he's feeling genuine guilt for his actions. And by the end of the series, he's changed. He confronts Shizuka and allows her to vent out all her frustration, and admits she doesn't want to be alone. He stays with her, but she didn't seem to be getting any happier, just dependent on him like how she was dependent on Chappie. So in my favorite scene of the series and the last appearance, he sacrifices himself to go back in time one last time. Not to get Shizuka's assignment answers or find her backpack, but to find her a friend. Something she's really needed all her life. And that friend was Marina. He leaves their memory of him semi-intact and they bond over it, with both of them having come to an understanding and becoming friends. A detail I really like in the post-credit scene of the anime is when they are the same age they were when Takopi visited Marina in the future. And she still has the scar. This shows that she was still scarred by her mom in this timeline, but she's not alone anymore, and the two of them genuinely seem happy together. And look, there's Chappie. Takopi's Original Sin is a masterclass at showing the psychological effects on trauma on some of the most vulnerable people in our society, children, and how horrible parents deeply affect the lives of their children. And no matter what, every child we followed in this show was a victim before anything else.